following story is about a father and daughter who went camping in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and encountered a demon. Let's have a talk. So, father and daughter Matt and Lena Alvarez would go camping every year. They would pick a new location and they would go. It was kind of their thing. The mom was never into it. So, they were really excited to go, especially because they were going to a new place. Matt was more so excited because this was the last year he felt that it was probably the last time that they were going to go camping together, because his daughter was about to be a teenager, and he felt like, it was probably the last time before it became uncool to go camping with your dad. So he was really excited. So they load up the truck and they head out. They get there, they check in with the ranger station, and the ranger says, hey guys, there's certain areas of the trail that are actually marked as not accessible, so just kind of stay off of them, don't go on, and you guys should be all right. So they head up, and they were about 3 miles up the trail, and they didn't notice any signs saying, that they can't access here, so they thought that they were going in the right direction. Another thing that they noticed that was odd was there were no other campers, hikers, or really any animals that they noticed on their way out, and which is kind of unusual. But they didn't think much of it, and they just kept on going, and it started to get dark out, and they noticed that the darker it got, the quieter the forest got. And if anybody knows anything about it going quiet in the forest, when it goes quiet, you need to really listen, because something's not right. So they find a spot, they set up camp, they eat, they unpack, and they go to bed. Well, around 2 a.m, Matt is woken up by Lena, and she's saying, Dad, I'm hearing something breathe outside of my side of the tent. So Matt wakes up and he listens, and sure enough, he hears this slow, wet breathing right outside of Lena's side of the tent. And it was like, he said, like, it was not consistent with any animal behavior that he's familiar of, or any animal behavior in that area that he is aware of. And he described it kind of like when a dog is like breathing, like panting in your ear, but like raspier. Like it wasn't normal. So they sat up all night and they just listened as this thing slowly moved around the camp and was like breathing, like hovering over them, breathing. Sure enough, sun came out, and they decided to go out and investigate, and whatever this thing was gone. They go out, Matt and Lena step outside the tent, and Matt notices right away that there are footprints all around the tent, and all of the footprints are facing inwards at the tent. And he didn't want to make a big deal out of it, because Lena did realize it too, and he didn't want to make a big deal out of it because he felt like if he did make a big deal out of it, it was kind of like making it real, and he didn't really want to scare her any more than she already was scared. So he was just like, look, that very well could have been from us, from when we were setting up the camp. It could have been an animal, last night we're in the middle of nowhere, not really unusual. And so they just went about their day. So they went, they saw different areas, and they came back for nighttime. So this night they ended up going to bed a little bit earlier, and shortly after they went to bed, it was around midnight, and Matt was woken up by the sound of Lena calling him, saying, Dad, Dad, just over and over, Dad, Dad. And he wakes up and he looks at her, and he's hearing her call him, except she's not speaking. And whatever was calling him with her voice was coming from outside of the tent. And they're just sitting there, and Lena's eyes were as big as sand dollars. Like, she was terrified. And they're just listening as this thing that sounded just like his daughter Lena was calling him, Dad, Dad, just over and over. And it was changing its depth. Like, it was 3 feet outside the tent, and then they would hear it from like 20-30 feet outside the tent, just over and over. And they had their fire still going from that night, so they had a little bit of light outside of the tent. And they said that whenever this thing would call, they would see like something zoom by the tent. And I mean, it was going faster than anything, any animal or anything. It was like a blur. And over and over all night long, and they heard like this like dragging sound going around the tent, and they just sat there all night. Matt grabbed his little forest knife, and he just was sitting there ready in case whatever this thing was going to try to attack them or come in. So all night they just listened and were being tormented as this thing called out to them in her name, in her voice. And then finally, a little bit before the sun came up, this thing started laughing, like a snickering cackle laugh in Lena's voice again, but the more it laughed, the more the voice changed, and it became really like deep and guttural. And finally the sun came up, and they waited a little bit. Matt said it was about like an hour and a half before they decided to move. But as soon as the sun came up and they didn't hear anything else, they packed up all their important belongings and they hightailed it the hell out of there. He said that they left behind certain things. They didn't even care. They just packed up all their main valuables and head out. And I don't blame them. So they went down the trail. They get back to the ranger station, and Matt kind of wanted to, being a little bit of a skeptic and wanted to debunk whatever. He asked the ranger, he's like, hey, does anything live up there? Does any, do you know of any like homeless people that live up on the trail or whatever? And the ranger didn't acknowledge that. He just straight faced, he said, let me ask you, did it sound like her? And Matt and Lena said that they could feel the blood drain from their face, because obviously this is an ongoing thing and it's happened before for the ranger to say that. So it kind of ruined their trip forever. That was the last time that Matt and Lena ever went camping together. Lena to this day refuses to sleep near a window. It just kind of like is her thing. And Matt says that there are times when he's sleeping in his home that he gets woken up to the sound of Lena calling for him outside of his window or down the hallway, and he hears it. And he says he knows that it's not her because she's either sleeping or she's not even home. So he doesn't know if he's dreaming, if it's a nightmare, but to this day he still hears this thing calling out to him. And there are, if you go back in history, or just even in today, in other cultures, you go back and look, there are reoccurring situations where they mimic spirits, where they mimic children or they mimic people to try to draw you out and to lure you out so they can do whatever to you. So yeah, needless to say, I haven't been camping in a while, and I probably won't be going anytime soon, especially to the Great Smoky Mountains.